Hi everyone, and thanks for joining me for the eclipse reading. This is going to be a new moon eclipse occurring on December 14th, 2020, 11:16 a.m. Eastern Time, but times will vary. My name is Vickieverlie, the Rock and Roll Prophetess. I'm a psychic astrologer, channeler, and I read and create tarot decks. So, yeah, this is an eclipse. This is a very powerful eclipse. I got a message on this one way back, like I think it might have been even summer or autumn. I don't know. It was this year, earlier this year, and I got a message, and it said that this is the great listening. Listening, not glistening. Listening, Listening. And I wrote it down, and I'm like, well, I got to remember that when I get to the eclipse reading to talk about it. And I'll be honest, I'm still not 100% sure what it even meant. But when you think about it, because Mercury is your mind, and then this is the higher mind. You know, this is the Mercury, or the third house, Mercury. The other side of this is the, the mental mind, the everyday mind, the busy mind, the monkey mind. And then we have the ninth house, which this is rules over the ninth house, Sagittarius, Jupiter. And that is expansion. And in order to, it rules higher knowledge, it rules learning, education. So a lot of times Gemini energy or Mercury energy is just talking, and not listening. So I can see it from that aspect of the great listening. We've got a pretty big stellium going on here. We've got the sun and moon, of course, at 23 degrees, and then we've got Mercury at 20 and the south node at 19. So we've got a four placement stellium going on here in the sign of Sagittarius. And the eclipse point itself is on the galactic center, very close, 26 degrees of Sag, so very close to that galactic center. So the great listening, I feel like those who have ears to listen, that things could be broadcast, because that is a portal, that is a connection to higher dimensions, the galactic center. It's the center of our universe, and it is a portal, and when things line up with that, there is an opening, there is an ability to get downloads, to get information. So if we listen, those who have ears to listen shall hear, is what I'm hearing. But at any rate, let's look at this ninth house. This is to look at things from a different angle. The ninth house, this is the third house. It's always the opposite. Each house has an opposite expression. So the third house is the, like I said, the monkey mind. This is what we learned. This is what the neighborhood we grew up in, our neighborhood. This is where it can get routine, It is learning, but it's more about like learning behavior or learning what's all around you. This is expanding beyond your knowledge base. This is expanding beyond your own culture, your own ethnicity, your own set of circumstances. This is expanding beyond anything that we've done before. This is a totally new time that we're entering into. This kicks off a week of major aspects because we've got this new moon eclipse in Sagittarius. So of course new moons also are always times when we want to initiate new things. It's a very powerful time to initiate new things. So there's that. And then secondly, we're going to have a whole week full of things here because we've got that. Then on the 21st, oh, well, first of all, it's the 17th and the 19th, respectively. I forget which is which. I don't have it in front of me, I don't think. But we've got Saturn and Jupiter moving into... I do have it in front of me. Saturn is the 17th. Saturn goes into Aquarius on the 17th, and Jupiter goes into Aquarius. So here's the eclipse. We're starting the week here with the eclipse. The 17th, Saturn goes into Aquarius. The 19th, Jupiter goes into Aquarius. The 21st is the solstice and the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction. So it kicks off this really powerful week of just change and turbulence and listening. We are definitely moving into a new era and a new age and a new, a bold new step for mankind is what's coming through here, So it is a time to listen. It is a time to listen and then follow the advice. The South Node is here. The South Node is in with this whole stellium here. And the South Node does rule over the past. And something that I've come up with here lately, when we're doing astrology readings, because I do look at some astrology, in some of the readings that I do, in the year ahead readings, I'm looking at astrology. And I always will point out to people that astrology is cyclical. It just keeps moving round and round the wheel, where it stops, round and round we go, where it stops, nobody knows. But it actually is highly calculated, and we do know exactly where things are going to stop. And things like these transits, well, the Jupiter transits, I might as well just say, because I've been telling it for everybody, think back to your life at these points in time here. Because the last time we had a Jupiter transit was in 2009 to Aquarius, 1997 to Aquarius, and 1985, 73, and so on. So think back to what was going on in your life. And that's what I tell people too when they get these big aspects. I'll go, well, the last time Jupiter hit this planet of yours in Aquarius or whatever, these were the years, what went on. And what I often will tell people is, if you could go back to these time frames, because Jupiter is Sagittarius, Jupiter, 9th house is wisdom. It's wisdom. So, and with Saturn, particularly, Saturn's going to make its move into Aquarius over here. We're talking about wisdom that comes from, being older, experienced, the wise elder. Saturn's not all bad. But at any rate, so what was going on in your life at these different junctures, especially if it's hitting some of your personal planets, and whatever advice you would give your younger self, your past self with the South Node, what would the words be that you would say to your past self? South Node, words, Mercury. What would the words be? What would the advice be to your younger self? And then you can turn around and take that advice for yourself right now. Especially at these different junctures, in your 2009 self, your 97 self, and so on and so on. Now with the Saturn, the last time we had the Saturn in here was in the early 90s. So that's a different story, but it's, it's still within the week of this whole thing happening. It's still within the week. We're going to have this big movement. Here they are, they're conjunct, they're moving together here. We've got Jupiter at 28 Capricorn, Saturn at 29. We've got a lot of critical degrees, that's what they're called. When they're at the 28, 29 degree, we've got Venus at 28 degrees. Well, not a lot, but a few. So we've got these planets at critical degrees here. And then this moon, later in the day, the moon's going to move into that critical degree. And then when will the moon move into Capricorn? Or, yeah. The moon goes into Capricorn. I don't know. The moon's in Capricorn here. I don't know why I'm not stuck. Oh, 11:17 a.m. The moon goes forward. It moves into Capricorn at 10:35 that day. Later, a little bit later that day. So it's these critical degrees. It's these last bits. It always has to do with karmic stuff. It always has to do with big karmic lessons that we're all learning and we're all dealing with and going through. But it's also like the little last hurrah, the little last bit of advice, the little last bit of... Often you will feel the effects of planets the most. You feel the effects of planets and transits very strongly when they're at 0 degrees, because it'll be the next one over. It's going to go 0. But you also feel it strongly at these last little bits here, at these 28, 29 degrees. It's kind of a finishing up. It's a completion. It's a completion of a karmic cycle. Again, especially if you have these planets at these high degrees or some stuff in Capricorn, Aquarius, that it's like really directly hitting your chart, you're going to feel it. What is the lesson? What is the final lesson of our Saturn that spent a couple years here in Capricorn in its own sign? What is the final lesson? What little bit of knowledge or little bit of advice or little bit of what's the gift? And with Jupiter, it'll be a gift too. Definitely, when there's always a gift. Even with Saturn, there's a gift. Saturn, you know what Saturn does in charts? It tells us it doesn't want to waste time on stuff that's not viable. Saturn is not going to let things get up. Say, oh, Saturn's hard. It's holding me back. It's trying to say, listen. It's older. It's wiser. Listen. That's not going to work. If you're fighting against something and you're banging your head against the wall when there's some big Saturn thing and you're blaming big bad old Saturn for messing you up or something, no, that's not the case necessarily. Saturn's saying, listen, kid, this is not going to work. Come over here. Saturn always wants to give you a solid foundation. It's not going to waste its time messing around with something doesn't have longevity, endurance, something that's going to be long-lasting and be stable and have stability. It's just not going to waste time with that. The other thing that's going on with this stellium, with the Sagittarian energy, it's squaring up with the Neptune here. You know, this is the stuff that dreams are made of. This is like that dream, this old dream that you've always had. And in the old paradigm world that we were living in, it just wasn't viable. Or, you know, maybe it wasn't viable because you were always working. And, you know, the thing with the pandemic has allowed us all to do is slow down. And it's very much in the realm of Neptune. Neptune rules disease. It does. Excuse me. But Neptune also rules psychic stuff. Psychic, spiritual. Aligning with the divine. Aligning with our higher selves. Connecting to, and when it's really in a tight orb with squaring with these nodes here, it's really, you know, what you were born to do. You weren't born to sit in a cubicle for 40 hours a week and be so beat and dead by the time you get out of there. You know, you can barely do, you know, you were meant to, we all came with this little spark. We all came to Earth, we came to incarnate with this little spark, with this idea, with this plan. That's one of the things that I look at in your soul reading too, is like where your personal nodes are and some other stuff. Nodes and Saturn are two of the big things that I look at in that reading. Because each of us has a plan. And one of the things that the guides have been coming through with here, this is one of the lessons I think that many of us may have learned during COVID and during the Saturn going through the Capricorn, is what are we striving for? You know, what are we striving for? And if somebody else is successful at a certain thing, it doesn't necessarily equate to you being successful at a certain thing. You know, and people will follow that. They'll follow that path anyway. Well, they did it, I'm going to do it. And then they get there and they're miserable. You know, so what is that spark of the divine trying to tell you? This could be a time when it could come through very clearly. And for those of us that are starting something, initiating something that is in line with the spark of the divine, aligned with our true soul's path, it could be very, very powerful. And divine guidance could absolutely be coming down and shining through and illuminating our path. It's a new moon, so it'll be dark, so I shouldn't say illuminating, but that's what I'm getting about it. What else is going on here? We've got, what's going on? I keep wanting to look at Uranus here. Well, I think I keep wanting to look at Uranus because Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius. And we're going to have this big influx of Aquarius again within a week's time, you know, over the next coming week of this. This is just a big change about, a big time of change and turnabout for everybody. So Aquarius and Uranus is definitely, you know, the higher vibrational energy of everything. You know, it's moving forward. It's the progression. It's not being stagnant. It's the next best. It's the next new thing. It's technology. It's advancement. It's space travel. You know, it's flashes of brilliance and downloads. And again, I feel like Uranus being grounded in Taurus is allowing. It's bridging this gap. It is very contradictory. I don't know if it's in detriment exactly or whatever, but it's very contradictory kind of vibration. Taurus is very earthy, grounded, practical. Uranus is like, you know, all over the place here. Not grounded at all. So it's helping, Taurus is helping Uranus become grounded. And Taurus is also helping ground in those ideas that are floating around in the ether. Those broadcasts from the universe that are raining down on us all the time, but we're too busy doing this or that, or, being stressed out, and whatever the case may be. It's of course going to be different for everybody. But this is allowing us to really bring it on home and ground it in, and combine into the 3D reality these higher dimensional vibrations that are breaking down the borders, breaking down the barriers, the borders, opening up the channels. This thing with the galactic center, opening up the channels for sure. It's actually, we've got the big T-square. It's the nodes and the eclipse with the Neptune and opposing Vesta over here. Vesta is the healing. Vestal virgins, I believe they were of the healing. I think that was one of their prime. I don't know if that's right or if that's correct or not. And this is where we get into the part of the reading where I'm just, I'm getting information. But I'm feeling really strong like this is a time for a great healing. A great healing could occur if you allow it. If you let go of, this is what Uranus can do to Taurus. It help Taurus the other way around, It can help you to loosen up some of our rigid ideas and beliefs. It can make it so we're open to new experiences. We're open to new ways of thinking we're open to new. Opening to the new is a very strong thing here, and through that, great healing can come forth, can come through. Absolutely. Pluto is still involved in this Capricorn thing here, so there's this transformation of everything, and I know it's this stuff. Well, it's cryptocurrency. That's the big buzz phrase around Uranus and Taurus and Pluto and Capricorn. It's the way we do business and cryptocurrency and all that. But I feel it comes down to what we value. We're really examining what we value. And we're a society that values money. We definitely value money. And we definitely value power and prestige and success, worldly success. The whole message of the Aquarian age, the 11th house of Aquarius and Uranus, the whole message of that is brotherhood of man, humanity as one, united. We're all united. We're all part of the humanity and everything, and not so much this is mine, what's mine is mine. It's what's mine is ours. More concerned not by personal glory, but by lifting mankind to the next level. Growth for everyone, expansion for everyone, moving forward for everyone, one for all and all for one. Yeah. This thing is also, this stellium and this eclipse thing is also trining down here to the Mars in Aries too. Mars is in Aries, its own sign. That's really powerful. It's going direct. It was retrograde for a long time. It's moving direct, so it's really full steam ahead and it's full power. And the Mars Aries energy is looking for something to initiate, looking for something to do. It doesn't want to sit still and contemplate. It wants to take action. So there is this beautiful trine energy, and the trine is harmonious. And it's like we've got the ideas and now we can really do something about it. We've got the energy and the strength to move forward and do something about it. We've got the initiative, the go-gettingness to, this reminds me of a dog, like a working kind of a dog, They get antsy when they're not doing their job. They love to work. They love to get things done. Like the herding dogs, they like to, a herding dog you couldn't keep in like a small apartment and be a lap dog. They have to be out. They're dying to go. They have to be run. Or even horses, they have to be run. That's what this is. That's how this energy is coming across me. Like, give me a job to do. I'm ready. I want to. I need something to do, give it, and then here comes the higher guidance. So this doesn't end up being destructive behavior, anger, built up anger. It's beautifully trining with all this nice 9th house energy, and it's just ready to roll. It's like, here, this is the task to do. This is what we have to do. we have the ideas, and Mars and Aries is like, yeah, let's do it. Let's bring it. Let's do it. Let's make it happen. We're going to make it happen with Mars and Aries. The other thing is, I say this a lot, but if you've not heard me say this, I accidentally a couple years ago left these part of fortunes in these readings, and I think I'm going to continue with it, and I feel like it does have meaning. You know, I feel like it has meaning in your natal chart, but I think the part of fortune is the way out of anything. Not that they're necessarily, there's a grand cross, so that's square energy, but and these critical degrees and everything. Venus is at 29 Scorpio. 28, 29 with Juno. We'll get to that in a minute, but the way out, or the positive, what's the good that can come out of it? What's the positive thing? Where does the fortune lie? And not fortune in the way of material goods, but the fortune in the way of Pisces, in the way of soul growth, in the way of enlightenment. And it's through the Piscean energy, the best expression, the highest expression of the Piscean energy. Creative flow, being at one with spirit, being calm, being settled, receiving the great listening, receiving the knowledge, listening to spirit, following your inner guidance and inner intuitiveness, tuning into that, tuning into it on a collective, as we move into Aquarius, but also on an individual level. Your true soul song. The guides talk a lot about your true soul song in the books. I'm still writing. I'm on the second book already, if you're not familiar with the first one is out. Yeah, so they talk a lot about that. This Venus in Scorpio, it's also a critical degree. And don't take it personally if you have Venus in Scorpio, because I actually have Venus in Scorpio too. Actually, I'm having a Venus return. I'm not even aware of it. As I'm recording this, I probably am. My Venus is 21 Scorpio. But at any rate, the downside of the Venus in Scorpio is very much the possessiveness, the it can be jealousy, possessiveness, angry sex. So that's maybe a little bit of Mars and Scorpio, but that could be a Venus and Scorpio too. Just sex and love. The lines between sex and love. And there's a lot of, it can be kind of, there can be like a, Scorpio, Pluto has the dark side, it has a shadow side. So some of this may be coming to the surface here. This might be what also is being left behind as we move into the Sagittarius energy, which would be a more altruistic love, a more, we could actually be friends, I'm not going to bleep your brains out over here because, this angry sex stuff, or we could actually be friends, maybe, friendship. One of the energies, the strongest energies of Sagittarius is friendliness and friendship. I have a Sag moon, and I was always a happy drunk. I've probably told this story before too. And when you're, from my years in working at my parents' bar and other bars, I noticed that people's moons come out when they're drunk. When you're not in the way of they're gonna moon you. Although that's happened a few times too. But your moon energy comes out when you're drunk, because that's your inner self, and the guards are down. And I have Sag moon, and I was always a happy drunk, and friendly, friendliness. And every Sagittarius that I've ever known, they've always been super friendly and super nice. And they don't get, it's a very different energy, Scorpio and Sagittarius, as far as it relates to personal relationships. Scorpios can be, they're very loyal and faithful and all that kind of stuff, but they're also, they can be that scorpion, that stinger can come out. They can be obsessed, they can be, you belong to me, obsessive. So there's a lot of, they're very passionate, okay? I would say Sagittarius energy is not as passionate. It's more lighthearted, it's more friendly, it's more, it's okay, live and let live, whatever, as the Aquarian energy too. So I think like it's really fitting that we're getting this new moon in Sagittarius just before, in the same week as all this stuff is shifting over and moving into Aquarius. We're really moving out of this very earthy and, you know, fixed earthy energy, and we're moving into a lighter, more altruistic, potentially happier even. You know, Sagittarians are very happy people too. A lot of Scorpios have this dark brooding side of them, you know. It can be real dark and brooding, and I'm not ragging on, I'm not trying to rag on Scorpios or Venus and Scorpio people, because like I said, I can count myself among them, but, you know, it's true. If it's true, it's true. But the Sagittarius energy is much lighter. It's much easier going. It's easy going. They don't let things, you know, they let things just roll off their back. They don't get all, you know, there's Scorpion, it can be very vengeful and very unwilling to let go of things. When Sag lets go of everything, whatever, you know. When I think of Sag, I think of the Fool and the Tarot, although I know that's probably not their actual, because I know that each sign, each card is assigned a major arcana card. I don't necessarily have those memorized. But when I think of Sagittarius, I really do think of the Fool, the happy wanderer, because Sagittarius are travel. They travel light. They're, you know, they love to travel. If you got something in Sag in your chart, you probably have traveled a lot, or would like to, or, you know, have done. I want to pull it out. I have it right here. Here's the Fool card from their Hansen, or, you know, the Rider-Waite Coleman. That's who I was trying to think of. And if you look at him, he's just a happy dude. He's just a happy guy. He's not carrying a lot of baggage. He's just got that little tiny bag and his little white flower, and he's just happy, and he's just a happy little traveler, happy little wanderer. And here's another thing: Sagittarius rules over animals and pets and stuff too. And he's got his little dog, and, you know, off we go into another adventure in life, you know. So that's the best way to do it. Keep it light, keep it open, let the universe work its magic. Because the universe has a much broader perspective of everything than you could possibly have. Get out of your head. Don't be so much in your head. And just be open to new experiences. Because new experiences are on the horizon for everybody. That's one thing I can say with some pretty much certainty. But again, as Jupiter moves into Aquarius, you know, it's the sign of Uranus. It could just go Uranus is very unpredictable. And maybe that's kind of good. Maybe that's what we need in life. Maybe we need to be a little unpredictable. Maybe we need to not be so, have to have a plan for everything. Maybe we just got to roll with the punches and go with the flow, you know, and we just got to really be open. That's the thing that I'm getting. And listen. Listen to your heart. Listen to your spirit guides. Listen to your own inner divine compass that is guiding you toward your highest soul song. Yeah, okay. Well, I think that's a good place to leave it. Hey everybody, I wanted to let you know that I am going to be doing a Dictiomancy. I do that every year where I open the book for the year ahead for everybody. And I'm going to be doing it out of my own book, The Transmissions for Humanity. But I also did ask the guides, and I did a little channeled message. It's already up for 2021, and they've even though they came through with this being the Great Listening, they're calling the year of 2021 the Great Reckoning, and not in a negative way. I was kind of like, ooh, I don't even reckoning. I think of like reckoning, dun dun dun, you know, like the punishing gods are going to come down and there will be a reckoning, but they mean it more in a reckoning of understanding. You can listen to the tape if you want. Excuse me. I also am still open for the year ahead readings till the end of the year. Always my most popular reading of the year, special limited time reading. I look at the big transits that are coming up and how they affect your chart, like all this stuff that I'm just talking about here. You know, the Jupiter going in Aquarius and all that. And I look at the eclipses and any other big transits that might be coming through your chart. And then we do a tarot reading, which is the 4 quarters of the year. Again, always my most popular, the only astrology and tarot combined reading that I do all year long. So if you're interested in finding out about that, you can find out the links below. If you enjoy my content, please do hit the subscribe button. Hey everyone, have a great holiday season, a great new moon solar eclipse, you know, the great solstice, which comes a week later, a big change and shift in seasons during that time frame. It's just a very shifting time of year, a lot of changes. Be like the Fool, be lighthearted, be open for anything, be ready to embrace whatever the universe has in store. The more we can do that, the happier that will be, and the easier the transitions will all be for us, okay? So hey everybody, once again, thank you so much for liking, sharing, commenting, donating, everything that you do to support me throughout the year. Remember, you are love and beauty incarnate. Have a great solar eclipse in Sagittarius, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.